Okay, John the Van Guy. Another bit of power probe fun this time, just to show you how to use one of these things. This is I've introduced you to this before for those who know the channel, and this is inside the engine bay. And what I need to do is sort out the wiring at the back. When it went for a respray, they didn't reconnect all the wires, and it's a bit confusing. So I've been trying to sort out what the brake wires for braking and the tail. So it's at the rear, really. The problem has arisen. Okay, so how do you go about it? Okay, get one of these power probes. Now you can see with the power probe, you've got it's got a positive and negative clips. So you connect those to the battery. It's also, which is very handy, let me just get it out. It's also got its own earth connection, which is also very handy. So you can actually power up separately bits of equipment. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So I've connected it then. Once you've connected, you can see the two lights on to show it's live. Two lights on this thing, just to check that it's working, and you'll see what actually happens when you touch a live wire with it. You get a nice little red flashing. When you touch the earth, you get a green. So you know what wires are acting as earth and what wires are live. So that's what you need. So the nice thing is about this power probe is it's got a long lead, so you can get to the back of things. You can get extensions to the leads as well, apparently. So this is my situation on this Morris. Now what's actually happened here? You've got, apparently this is supposed to be the indicator light, two wires coming, one bulb, one filament. This is what I found out by playing around. Gives you the tail light and the braking light. So it's one bulb with two filaments. Okay. I got in touch with a chap on eBay who does laminated sheets for the wiring, Crisscross, and he was very helpful. When I showed it, it's a 1962, and these are one of the laminated sheets he sent me. For a £5, you get about 3 laminated sheets for your particular model. He reckons it's similar to this one. There's some variation here, but more or less it does help actually to have them all laid out like that. So thanks very much, Chris. What he said was, when I described the car and described the wiring, he said he seems to be an American, except for the American, most of these things were exported originally. The American wiring has been converted back to for the UK market, and that's why there's a bit of confusion about the wiring setup. Now, so it's been resprayed. All the wires were hanging from the back, so I had to decipher and work out what was doing what. That's why the power probe is very useful. So that's where we are. So what I've done on this side, and I found works very well. An issue that came up. First of all, I had to find out which wire was, when you had the indicators on, the front flashes were working, the rears weren't, because the front was already connected. And so the idea was then basically just to find out which wire was pulsing, using this probe, touching the wire when you had the indicators on. Anyway, I established all that. So obviously one wire in this particular situation, one wire will be the pulsing wire, the other wire will be going to an earth. Now that's where an issue arises when you're actually looking at this second bulb. There's two filaments on there, one filament for the brake light and one filament for the running light, the tail light. So in my naivety, I was trying to work out how on earth can you power these two filaments. Well, on the bottom of one of these bulbs, there's obviously two terminals at the bottom of the bulb, which go into two terminals in the bulb holder. Now, we see that's earthing. Good, that's all earthing now. I'll tell you why that's earthing in a minute. Because this wing is fiberglass. Yeah, they're all fiberglass wings been put on, which means that you can't use the wing itself as an earth. So you have to have an extra earth going from the bulb holder to somewhere else. Now there was a black wire hanging down, and maybe this might be the reason why they couldn't get the things to work. There was a black wire hanging down, and I found that was connected. The black wire was actually connected up to an earth here inside the boot. When you actually trace the wire back. And so what I did, well, how do you fix the wire to the body of the bulb holder? Or what I've used is a Jubilee clip, and I've just stripped the wire and then put it up against the bulb holder. Now that runs through the earth now, as you can see, and that acts an earth for the two, common earth for the two filaments in here. So using this probe, it's been really good, going from each wire, turning on and off the ignition and the indicator arm. It's been very good. Right, now for the brake lights, one thing I did, which I'll take you through, let's have a look at the brake light switch. Now the brake light switch on here is actually in the hydraulic system itself, most unusual. I haven't come across it before, but now if you look down here, do you see those two screw heads? Now they're the two terminals of the brake light switch. The brake light switch is in the hydraulic system itself. Now what it consists apparently inside, it's like a little ball bearing. So when you actually put your foot on the brakes, the hydraulic pressure pushes the ball up against those two terminals and causing the lights to come on. So rather than have the foot pedal on the brake all the time to actually see if this works, what I've done, I've simply disconnected the wires from the terminals and linked them together. So when you have the ignition on, now the light should be on all the time, okay? Because obviously I've bypassed the brake switch. The same as me putting the pedal on to see if it works with the pedal. Whether the brake switch works or not, I don't know yet. I haven't had to test that. But anyway, so I bypassed the brake system there, and that way I was able to tell which line was the brake line. And it turned out there's multicolored lines on these things, and it turned out this one, it's the white one with the purple tracer on the left hand side. On the other side there's a white one with a brown tracer. That's the thinner line. Now that I found, that is actually the brake light lines. So a signal comes through from there, and I've just connected it up accordingly to the wires, the two wires coming from the switch. So the tail light switch, or the tail light power wire, is this red one, and so when I found the red lights on, again you can check all this using your power probe, just touching the terminals or touching the wires separately, you can find out. But now I've put an earth in and get these things to work. Now believe me, they do work, but without this thing, there's other ways you can do it, obviously, multimeter and test probes, but this is quite a handy little device. You can also, what I did do, just to prove this theory, what I did was put a clip onto the earth clip onto the bulb holder, and then powered it. Now when using a power probe here, you can actually press that and you get that, you press that switch, or if you want an earth, you press that. Now be careful when you're using that side of it, because if you're actually in power to a powered circuit which is already powered, you could cause damage. So unless you know what you're doing, don't use that, but if you do, fine. But it's very handy for testing equipment. So that's where I am. I hope that helps someone. A fascinating quest to sort this wiring out, but I'm getting there. And so I've actually attached an earth. I've just burred a wire and put it up against the body there and just held it on with a Jubilee clip. And I know that, and that wire is earthing to here. That's what they've used as an earthing point there. Okay, probably lots of things I've forgotten, but I hope that helps someone to fathom this out too. But great fun, and it's nice if the weather's good and it's not raining, and it's actually a pleasure. Okay, thanks very much.